less than 5% of small businesses ever reach the $1 million top line revenue mark. And most fail before they even get to that. What you've done, who you are, and how you're building your culture got you to where you are right now, which is leaps and bounds ahead of so many other people that tried and failed.
Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and this is the Plumbing and HVAC Hustle Podcast. And today I have Norris Ayvazian on from Service Crucible. Can you correct the way I said your name for me?
Ayvazian. I mean, you nailed it.
Ayvazian.
You did better than most.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And if you don't mind just giving us a 1-minute background, we are going to be talking about the efficiencies that are killing your HVAC profit. And this is going to apply to plumbing business as well. Inefficiencies, though, in particular. And Norris, what is your background that's given you kind of a bird's eye look at so many HVAC companies and that's shown you the problems and the solutions?
Sure. I've been in this industry for about 15 years. I'm third generation trades, blue collar. And I started off as a maintenance tech, quickly made it to a comfort advisor, and I've held just about every position you can imagine, field and office side, in home services, predominantly plumbing, electrical, and HVAC. So you can say that it's been an organic process for me to get to where I've been and where I'm going. And I've held, regional vice president positions for $500 million private equity companies. I was the director of training and growth at Home Service Freedom, and I've got a kind of national geographic experience running multiple playbooks. So I'm not influenced by one school of thought, be it Nexstar or Service Nation Alliance. I go for what works with the problem or the challenge that's in front of me. Hopefully that encompasses a bunch of it for you.
You didn't go back to your early childhood, but we're gonna accept that.
All right, cool.
So a lot of people get stuck at certain points in their business, and we were talking before the podcast, just prepping a little bit, and you're talking about how 3 million is the common number, as well as 10
Yes.
to 12. People get stuck at different parts, and if you don't know what you don't know. You don't know. Some people don't know that you can be bigger. I mean, maybe they do in their head, but they don't know that they could be bigger. They feel stuck. So what are some of the most common ways that lead to this stuckness, inefficiencies that are killing profit?
Well, at the $3 million mark, what I see most commonly is a failure to truly separate service from install, or laying the groundwork to do that, because you're leapfrogging progress. Your main money-making individuals have to be opportunity facing as often as possible. And then you, as the owner operator, are wearing so many different hats as well. And you let's give a nod to the greats, right? Goodrick. You have to spend time on the business, not in the business. Separating install from service is one of the main things. But I also want people listening to this podcast to feel good about themselves, in the sense that less than 5% of small businesses ever reach the $1 million top line revenue mark. Mm-hmm. And most fail before they even get to that. What you've done, who you are, and how you're building your culture got you to where you are right now, which is leaps and bounds ahead of so many other people that tried and failed. And so, and then you take that train of thought as far as wearing the different hats for the owner operator, you get to that next ceiling, to 10 to 12, trying to get it to 20, 25, 30. It's the multiple hats is you're so used to doing everybody else's job that it's like, how do you manage managers? How do you let go? What kind of safety controls do you have in place to allow these individuals to thrive, but for them to have a fallback system where you can collaborate and allow them to improve and continue to grow, and thereby help grow your business?
Yeah. Let's start with this early side where, it's just the most common people. I went to a mastermind this past week for for marketing agencies, which is fun. And I realized there's just such a bigger concentration at that smaller side, right? And I think it's true for
Mm.
a lot of different types of businesses, whereas like 80% of businesses are under 1 million. So I think that
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons I focus like at that like $2 to $5 million range for HVAC companies, like, and trying to be of service is a lot of times you're kind of like still scrambling to kind of figure out the basics. So what do you think of as like basics that are inefficiencies that are killing profit?
And for you to figure out the inefficiencies, you have to be able to look at yourself and your business in the mirror and understand exactly what's going on. And so when I say that is how familiar are you with your finances? And if you're not, if it's something that you're avoiding because it's just something that you don't understand, what small steps are you going to take towards understanding that a little bit better, right? I've seen hundreds of financial statements and the majority of them being in that smaller category, right? In their COGS above the line, I would say 99% of them only have one or two general ledger items. Their COGS isn't broken down, right? If you want to
I'm going to
know
be the guy who breaks down for the people that aren't as savvy, cost of goods sold,
cost of goods sold,
COGS. Yeah.
all right? And thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
And just to keep the basics in mind, it's your direct labor, right? And it's going to be your materials, your equipment, your parts, your commissions. Some might argue, hey, you can't have subcontractors in there. Subcontractors have to be a reduction to sales, but that's for another conversation. But, you know, where is your money going? Like Ellen Rohr says, where did the money go? What are you spending your money on? And so, if you are able to separate that, you're able to see how much direct labor is going into an install. Now, if you want
Mm.
to take it a step further, right, and be like Russell Crowe in the movie Beautiful Mind, start seeing these numbers appear out of nowhere. What's your direct labor like per system type that you're installing or per different type of job that you're installing? Where are your inefficiencies in your labor competency in the first place? And then what if you were to try this on for humor, for the sake of humor. What if you were to do a job by job gross margin breakdown for every install that you do and see where you're making the most money and double down on that and protect your most consistent profitable sources of income in these jobs that you're selling? I mean, that's just beginning at it. And even if you don't have middle management, Tim, it doesn't matter. Like people role play in front of the mirror, right? Why can't a business owner operator hold a daily huddle with himself? What's your pace? How many calls do you have on the board? Of the calls that you have on the board, how many of them are opportunities? How many of them are maintenances? How many of them are 10 pluses, right? What's your accounts receivable look like? How much money do people owe you? And then when you're looking at installs, right, drive time, fuel, and all that kind of stuff, it takes away from your opportunity to run 3 calls a day, 4 calls a day per tech max. So in these jobs that you're running, how much time is being wasted from sales to install? How many shop runs have to take place? How many supply house runs have to take place? These
So
are
talk to me
basics.
about fixing some of that, like the sales to install time wasted, like where when you're kind of diagnosing, you're looking under the hood or taking the temperature of your clients, your prospective clients at Service Crucible. What are some of the like ways to tweak that time wasted between sales to install?
Majority of the stuff that you're going to need for an install to take place is going to happen at information capture. 9 times out of 10, what I've seen is most comfort advisors don't have, let's say, the intimate knowledge of an install manager or an owner operator when it comes to installing systems. What you tell them that you expect from them when a sale takes place, and you pair that with the strength of, let's say, the install kits or packets that you put together, is going to directly influence how often or how not at all you're going to have shop runs or supply house runs.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're doing a HVAC install, like let's say a 3-ton system, you already know what you need from there. So do you have a quick fire way of pulling all of that material? Is your truck stock set up that way? So you don't have to send your installers to the supply house to pick up the equipment. Why aren't you picking up the equipment and staging it for first thing in the morning, 6:30 a.m. for your guys to load up? So the only thing
Mm.
that they're actually doing is looking at the pictures and notes and making sure everything's dressed before they start up for install. That saves you hours out of the time. Your guys go home early, you reduce callbacks, you reduce warranties, the morale gets better, and they show up the next day. And pretty soon, if you make this really, really good, you can probably do 2 installs a day, depending on your market and what you sell.
Talk to me about a few other ninja hacks that people that you see. I think you're talking about the three options thing, photos of the job, whatever else you feel like is like to increase efficiency and profit from what you've
There's
seen. Like,
this
what are some things that the best companies do that even like in that $10 million range, like the best companies in that $10 million range?
Many homes suffer from inefficient HVAC systems due to leaky ducts, leading to uneven room temps, lost airflow, and higher energy costs. AeroSeal's innovative sealant technology targets and repairs leaks, improving airflow and efficiency. Increase your customer satisfaction, increase sales, and offer a unique market advantage. Become a leader in HVAC efficiency. AeroSeal.com.
So I have to start this off by saying there's this amazing book that I read by Eli Goldratt called The Goal. And in this book, he highlights a very interesting way to look at metrics and performance. There's dependent events, things that you can take to the bank that are going to happen every single time without hesitation, right? Then there's statistical fluctuations. Statistical fluctuations are human behaviors or outside events that result in metrics or KPIs. So a dependent event for us in the home service world would be something um, like the install process that I'm talking about. You sell a system, you're getting ready to install it, you got your process in place, boom. You're just setting it up and pulling the equipment, getting your guys ready. Statistical is the human side. So let me ask you this way. Pretend you're a business owner, Tim, for 1 second. Humor me. How confident are you from 0 to 100% that every single call that your guys go to end up in 3 options, hour to hour and a half to 2 hours in front of the customer, pictures uploaded, and an invoice summary written down that represents the interaction between the tech and the customer?
Low confidence, I would say, on the average, from what I can tell, HVAC business owner, but some of them might be in their head thinking that's inefficient.
That is extremely inefficient. Now, for the people listening, use your imagination for this next statement. How much revenue would you be able to capture on top of the existing revenue that you're capturing on a daily basis if you were to be able to take to the bank that 100% of the time, regardless of the technician running the call, you have 3 or more options, pictures, notes, and an outstanding invoice summary. And let's add another variable. Financing is brought up as well. What do you think that'll do to the average ticket, to the close percentage, and everything else?
Oh yeah, I would assume it would, knowing what I know, it would probably significantly increase our average ticket.
Now, you can add another variable to this. If you could take to the bank that every single day, whoever's in charge of building your dispatch board is making sure 30 to 40% of the calls on the board are opportunities, either aged opportunities for HVAC or nice old water heaters or something that you would suspect is a 20-year-old copper pipe or, an aging plumbing system in a house, making sure every single one of them is there. That increases your confidence, right? Your imagination goes to bigger numbers, better metrics, better KPIs. Now,
Hmm.
add this on. Now, just like you see how we're layering this, the last thing that I would layer onto this is what if you had a batting order based off of the performance of your technicians of it's going to be the best call, best tech per the job type that they go to, and everything else is falling in line. I think
Mm,
that would be pretty exciting to think about.
absolutely. It sounds that last part might be um, a little bit more to manage. Is that done through the CRM, or can you give us kind of like a how that part is done?
There's a very simple way that I did this with Best Home Services. So that's in Naples, Florida. Over $60 million in top line. The first to sell to Apex Service Partners. So what I did then, I had 30 technicians and 4 comfort advisors. It was very easy. It took me less than 5 minutes every day to reset my batting order. And I did it per business unit. So I had maintenance and service. I would just multiply their closing percentage with the revenue per that business unit, sort for ascending order, and choose my top guys. Let my dispatcher know, hey, just play Tetris. Best calls, best tech, ignore geography for the most part. Set it and forget it.
That ignored geography thing is.
But the batting order has to be different between
that,
business units. Yeah,
I've heard that recently too. So, you strongly recommend that as well?
yeah. I mean, what's the instinctual responses that you're going to get to oppose that statement? Well, the guys are going to be on the road for such a long time, they're going to go home late. Okay, well, if you're guaranteeing, if you take away the statistical fluctuation that your 8 a.m. calls are getting shown up at 8 a.m. and you are efficiently dispatching and closing out of jobs, what's the worst that's going to happen? The guy's going to go an hour between calls, right? But if he's making money, does he really care how much he's going to be driving because he's already counting what his paycheck is going to look like? It's usually what I found in my experience is the low performers, the ones that are inconsistent, the ones that are really counterculture are the ones that are going to complain about having to drive. Successful techs have partners at home that kick their butts out of bed every day and say, keep bringing that bacon home, baby.
Yeah. I've had a lot of people talking about that and how, spending a little bit more time with your employees and maybe their significant other would be good for us. So that's something I'm thinking about right now too. Certainly becomes a lot to manage when you get a bunch of people, right?
Yes, 100%.
But I do understand why it's good. Talk to me about some of the other basics. You were talking to me earlier about how everyone gets little shiny object syndrome with things like AI and the newest, best widget or etc. What do you consider the basics that they should master before they're trying to fix their problems with shiny objects?
It goes straight back to this is perfect timing on your part for the question. It goes straight back to what we talked about, using your imagination and those fluctuations, right? What you do is, like, let's say it's AI or GPS or a new price book, or let's say, a new tool, whatever it is that people promise you it's going to help you increase your revenue. When you just hold up for a second, I mean, in my opinion, based off of direct experience, I think that 90% or more of home service businesses leave 20 to 30% of untapped revenue on the table every day, every single call that they run. What are the basics they can do? Options, pictures, notes, invoice summary, offering financing, batting order, call capacity management, call prioritization. If a call comes in, are you booking it in 3 minutes or less? Are you tagging it with the opportunities that it presents? Do you know which tech to send to it? And is this all cross-departmental, cross-function, just working seamlessly with one another? Are you holding your daily huddles so you can highlight amongst yourself and your team what to focus on? And do you even know what you're pacing for this month? Do you even know how to calculate a pace, right? That's more for the smaller businesses, but now's the time to really get into that.
Yeah, I think the two things that I always go to, talking about phone answering, right? That's the most obvious one related to what we do. And it's a little frustrating because we actually listen to calls too. We listen to all the calls and just to figure out if it's a real lead. Because like we want to be reporting on real leads. Because there's nothing more frustrating we've found in the experience of like being like, you had 12 leads from Google, and they're like 6 of those were like somebody applying for a job or whatever. Yeah. So as time goes on, we've just been like, all right, we're just gonna figure out what's real leads and then report on that. That's a big one. So I'd love to pick your brain on that. But another one is the follow-up. That's where we've seen where we could be looking at what we I just did have you heard of Searchlight?
Yes.
I like Searchlight. Seems like a really cool like platform for checking ROI on marketing. It's like transparency and it's good for the agency and the
Absolutely.
and the contractor. So we did a kind of a blind taste test of this, and we put it on our YouTube with a client, and we were looking at it, and there's like the amount of proposals out that needed to be followed up on. So
Yeah.
it's a new nemesis besides the same old nemesis of not answering your phone right or like booking the call, right? Book the call.
Sure.
But the next thing is like follow up, like, and what are your systems around follow up? So those two, I'd like to like talk to you about any systems you have for those. Let's start with the phone answering. When you're diagnosing that problem with your clients, do you recommend any services or technology? Just curious.
No, I don't recommend services or technology. We go through the basic script of saying XYZ is going to be the amount for the dispatch fee, and the companies that agree to credit that towards the repair. We have that in the script. All this happens in 3 minutes or less. Its speed to lead is absolutely paramount. We don't want them to be on hold forever or it to go out to answering service. And the most important thing, in my opinion, is the empathy, right? Our CSRs are so used to taking call after call or making call after call, where there's these huge opportunities to display empathy and capture that, and they don't, right? It's like it's 85 degrees inside the house. I don't know why my AC is not working. Can you guys send somebody out? Yeah. Let's see. I have tomorrow 3:00 available. You'd be surprised how many times over and over and over again, Tim, that I've heard that in actual call recordings, right? So on the contrary, if you were to say, I am so sorry to hear that, that's so unfortunate. It's summertime. We get this all the time. And we're going to be able to see you here within the next 2 hours, Mr. Smith. And don't you worry about it. I'm actually going to pass this personally on to my dispatcher, and they're going to call you within the next 10 minutes and let you know when your tech is on the way, right? So that's the CSR. We captured information and everything else. Now, if you want to add some nuances in there based off of how advanced you want to go in your call center, mind you, keep it under 3 minutes. You can ask, are you able to authorize repairs today? Now, the nuance of that question is it doesn't ask if you're the homeowner, doesn't ask if it's just a husband or the wife at home. Are you able to authorize repairs today? So that goes a very long way, and it opens the door, because if it's a property manager or a tenant, then it takes on a different form of conversation. When this goes to the dispatcher is going to call and say, hey, Mr. Smith, I've got Tim coming your way. He's been an AC tech for 12 years. He's one of the best that we've got. All of our customers love him. He should be there right around 1:30. He's going to give you a call to let you know he's driving your way as well. All right. If there's anything else you need, please call into the office, but Tim's going to be in touch with you very, very soon. And we're looking forward to taking care of this for you. What am I doing here? I'm building value into the company. I'm keeping people on the same page, working as a team, working in unity. But for those listening, there's something there that you should pick up on in what I just did. The CSR saying we're able to see you today within 2 hours it should tell you that there's a decision authority matrix that exists in this company that says if a 10 plus no cool comes in and we are overbooked, you are going to book it. Hell or high water, we are going to run that call today. Because if we can't see them within the first 2 hours, guess what they're going to do? Go down the list on Google and start making phone calls. And you can kiss it goodbye. The $15, $20, even $2,000 sale, gone out the window.
So Rilla allows you to listen to, it's an AI in your pocket, listens to the appointment. It's pretty crazy what it can do. It gives a script, gives everything they said, it breaks down some statistics for you.
Analyze talk ratio, interactivity, like how you and I are interacting back and forth, longest modeling, like all those things.
Honestly, this is the shit that I most believe in AI.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Enhancing the
You're
user
about to put
experience.
math and data around something that used to be my magic skill.
Boom. mind blowing. Let's talk about the follow up. Well, first of all, I just want to note real quick. Well, we've seen even more egregious problems where people just aren't answering their phone. So that's one, and heck, they're a sponsor, but I'm just gonna go ahead and call them out. Pink Callers is like a backup phone call answering service. If you can't answer your phone, you need somebody to back you guys up. Answer your phone every time they work in your CRM, whether it's Service Titan or whatever. All right. Next, I want to go to the follow-up side. What about the follow-up side have you seen be broken? Certainly, from what I can tell, the data would say that there's some brokenness. Like after looking at that enormous amount, $1 million plus of proposals out, and that could be followed up on. Where have you seen? What have you seen work for follow-up? Is there any way to create real accountability there? And what is your perspective on that?
100%. Okay. So
or
follow
systems,
up,
however.
Yeah, it's okay. The happy call system is one of my favorite things to do. What most people don't realize is happy calls have to happen within an hour, hour and a half after the call has been wrapped up. It has to be very short and sweet to the point, 2, maximum, maybe 4 questions. And it should be one-word answers, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, would you recommend us to family or friends based off of your experience with us today? Were you satisfied? On a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied were you with your services from us today? Et cetera, et cetera. Using NPS scoring, so Net Promoter Score scoring, anything that's 7 or below is going to be a detractor. They're not going to come back to you. And if it's going to be like a 6 or below, there's a very good chance you're going to get, the lower the score, the lower the stars on the review, 4, 3, 2, God forbid, 1, right? This is your opportunity to nip things in the bud. And if they don't recommend us, if they weren't satisfied with it, there is a break in this system that you're running. Did you set expectations correctly? Did the customer feel heard for the very reason they called you out to their house in the first place? Did the options provided from the tech to the customer make sense, make the customer feel heard? Does the invoice summary represent the experience the customer had, right? If the guy's got water leaking out of the vents and the technician, and this is hilarious because I've seen this happen, and the technician's like, oh, you just need an air scrubber, you'll be fine, right? And the ductwork's full of holes like a cheese grater. Yeah, something's wrong. And so the happy call is a perfect way to get our foot back in the door, because it goes right into like the second opinion inside sales kind of follow-up process to answer the second part of your question. So what I love doing is, between CSRs or inside salespeople or whoever it is that you trust, your service manager, you can change the script to be for your service manager. You can have a second opinion script where somebody calls and says, how's your experience? I see, Tim left you quite a few different options and looks like a little bit of work. Well, yeah, I'm going to have to think about it. Or, yeah, it was way too much. Whatever the objection is, right? And so what I go on to say is, hey, Tim, it's not every day that somebody gets out of bed and says, I'm going to spend $3,000 to repair my AC. John, that was at your house, love him. He's such a great tech. He's an up-and-comer. But what I'd like to do, instead of you wasting your time and money with other companies that are out there, I want to send my senior most technician that's an expert in these heat pump systems. His name is Ralph. And Ralph is going to just do a comprehensive audit of everything that John did and make sure we didn't leave any stones unturned for you. And this is no obligation for you. And this is just my way of saying I want to make things a much better experience for you. Something along those lines how does the typical customer feel about that, right? Because you can even throw something in there. Maybe we can save you money on some of these repairs and make your system last a little bit longer. And so at the end of the day, yes, we would love to capture the big tickets, Tim, but we want to capture the customer and keep them in our database for as long as possible. Operators should learn LTV, lifetime value. If you didn't get it now, it's all good. Leave a smile on their face, because the next time you go into their house, you might get that $20,000 ticket.
Brings us back to the whole topic of inefficiencies killing profit.
Mm-hmm.
When people go for the jugular every time, like, I think that there's a short-term value to that, right? Like,
Yes,
if we're
there
trying
is.
to get the big sale consistently, but as we've seen, I mean, I think if you look at the private equity that's rolled through in certain areas and taken the biggest possible upfront money on everything, and then it does hurt reputation of companies. Let's be honest, that does.
Sure.
So it may be efficient in the short term to go for the big sale every time. How do you balance that with, like, because it is effective sometimes
Yeah.
to be a little bit more forceful, tactical sales. Let's get the big sale now. Do you really think it's worth it? I guess I'm
What,
challenging
going
you.
for the home run every single time? Or
Would you really think it's worth it to not go for the home run every time?
see, I think we should strike without hesitation every single time, instinctually, without thinking about it when the opportunity is there. So no, it's worth it every single time. You have to earn the opportunity. You
Yeah.
have to educate and create value with the customer, keep them on the same page with you, and make them feel heard. Make them feel they understand without overwhelming them. I mean, Nexstar, Weldon Long, all these big names that are out there. A confused mind says what? No. Okay. When did you lose the customer? When they paid you $89 or $100 or $50 your dispatch fee? They paid you that money to leave their house. Imagine being paid money, Tim, to leave the house. I would rather throw away $60, $90 than ever do business with you. That's a spit in the face, and the technicians should feel that way too. Now, technicians, come payday, comfort advisors, whoever it is, come payday, they're counting the money that they made, depending on the pay plan that you have. I don't care if it's billable efficiency, if it's hourly, if it's spiffs, if it's commissions, it doesn't matter. They're counting that money. And so if you have a system that just rewards the big home runs, which you should, but then what are you going to get? You're going to get guys swinging for the fences. And you might have one standout guy that's really doing a good job selling these. And so they're influencing the locker room, so to speak. So everybody else, instead of focusing on the basic blocking and tackling of multiple options, getting some kind of ticket instead of just a dispatch fee, are going to try to emulate this guy's success. And all you have in their wake is just this stream of pissed off customers that they paid you money so they can call your competition and give them money, right? So how do we do this? We educate our technicians. We focus during some of our training systems to say, hey, listen, do you even know what the law of averages is like? Look at all these zero tickets that you had, right? You had some good bangers. Good job. Amazing. Don't stop doing those. But imagine if these zero tickets, like let's say we got you from a 45 to 70% close rate because you closed some of these smaller tickets. And let's not even go for $1,000 average ticket. Let's go for a 400 here, 500 there, maybe 600 there. Imagine those closed. Okay, your paycheck was what? $4,000? If you had closed those, you would have made $7,500. And on average, you're spending about an hour and 10 minutes with these customers. Between diagnostics and getting your tools out and just setting up, where was the value building? Where was the interpersonal relationship? Why don't you call a manager to get some creative ideas of how to approach this? Manager phone calls are not supposed to be disciplinary, but technicians shy away from that. A supportive manager, a supportive leader will say, hey, let's pregame this. Go out to your truck. What did you see? What's the customer like? What are you thinking about putting your options together as? And so that's the biggest inefficiency when it comes to a lot of businesses that I see, Tim, is that blend of revenue on the install side is so much exponentially higher than service. And service is really if you increase the blend of revenue from service while maintaining the revenue amount on install, that's when you start getting into double-digit profit.
All right. There's a taste of the secret sauce. What other secret sauces do you have back there at Service Crucible what are some higher payoff levers that you focus on when you're training people?
The first thing that I have to do with all my clients is, hey, introduce me to your vendors. Introduce me to your manufacturers that you deal with. I've got this one guy. He's been in business for over 10 years, and he's been using Daikin and Goodman for the longest time. I get introed, and so I do a reply all, and I ask a few questions. And I say, hey, so what are the hot ticket items that you want Chris to focus on? And what is the dollar amount that he needs to hit for him to get a rebate? And what does the rebate percentage look like? Crickets. So a week later, when I catch up with the Service Crucible member, he's like, Norris, I've been with these guys for years. And then all of a sudden, his tone of voice, his interaction with me was different. He was talking about a 12% rebate. He was talking about getting $10, $20, $30,000 back at the end of the year that I can put right towards my bottom line. And while he's talking to me, Norris, I'm just sitting here thinking in the back of my head, where the hell was all this when I've been giving you hundreds of thousands of dollars a year? Ask the right questions. A lot of business owners that are not with PE right now, Tim, it's very unfortunate. They think you have to be PE size or with it in a portfolio so you can exercise your buying power. No, it's just knowing what questions to ask, focusing your buying power a little bit. Even if you were to get, let's say, a 10% rebate at the end of the year, and then a little bit more advantageous pricing on some specific equipment that they want to see the boxes move a little bit faster, and you get 2, 3, 4% discount on some of them. That is a monumental difference in your profitability. Same thing goes with marketing agencies too, not to pick on you guys.
Go. You can go for it.
You sure?
By the way, no, I appreciate that our mutual client introduced us.
Yes.
Certainly want to continue this relationship, and I appreciate you being on and taking the time to share with our audience so that more people can find you guys and that you can be of service to them. What is the .com if somebody wanted to work with you?
So it's going to be servicecrucible.com. It'll have all the information that you'll need. It'll have some highlights of some of the different services that we provide. It'll have the different pricing tiers that you can take advantage of. Any of the tiers gives you access to 20 plus years of resources, documents, spreadsheets, SOPs that I have either created or collaborated with people to create that you can plug and play. And there's weekly office hours that we hold. And then I do monthly owner or senior executive mixers where you can collaborate and keep in touch with. And so that's Service Crucible. And it's all about transformation. It's about seeing yourself and your operation through the mirror, through your financials, through your day-to-day actions, and picking up the money that's there without having to spend money. Because if you grow organically that way, you're just going to help make your vendors make more money off of you. And that type of relationship is better anyways. I'm thankful.
I like that.
I'm very, very thankful that we met, Tim. And we definitely want to continue the relationship.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you everyone for watching and listening. I hope you picked up on 1 or 2 tips that will help you increase efficiency so you stop killing that profit. And if you need more, which I'm sure this is just a taste, please reach out to Norris and servicecrucible.com and let them know that we sent you so that, hey, this podcast gets better as, you know, we basically are incentivizing people to come on this because occasionally we get people business, which is cool. And we want to give people business because that makes this podcast more valuable and the network more valuable. That's the network effect. And it sounds like you've got some amazing network effects over there at Service Crucible with the mastermind. How often you said that was again?
So we have the weekly office hours and then the monthly executive mixer where GMs show up. Yeah, at the end of the day, Tim, this industry for me, it's a way of life. It's not a job. It's in my blood. And I believe that small trade-based businesses are the cornerstone of this country. And not only do we improve the lives of people that work for us, we improve the communities that we are in. And we have to protect the integrity of our industry. So I'm so happy to see you involved and how you're helping people make connections. This is nothing but positive.
I heard a private equity company that I like talk about this recently, and he said, we have scruples. You're talking about, the ethics part of it. Like, I like the way you described that. Scruples. Not everyone has them.
No.
And, that's your word of the day on this podcast is, scruples. And
Yeah.
I think I didn't know you could have it outside of the word unscrupulous. So I like using it now. Appreciate you being on, Norris, and thank you
My
so
pleasure.
much. And see you guys later. Bye.
See ya.